Oftentimes when we use clay, you're going to have to cut yourself a piece of clay from the big brick. So this is a 25-pound bag of clay, and this came from the factory. I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to get a tool ready to show you how to use. This is called a wire cutter or wire toggle. There are two wooden toggles on the ends, and then there's a wire between the toggles. So what I like to do is kind of wrap it around my fingers a little bit so that I have more control of the wire. You place the wire behind the clay brick, and then you pull the wire through the clay to slice through it. And it comes off nice and easy, and then you have clay. If there's nobody behind you waiting for clay, make sure that you pull up the bag and that you fold it over, put it on its side, or twist it. I'm going to break up the clay into a few different pieces because today we're just going to get started with practicing our pinching. So now what I'll do is zoom in a little bit so that you can see up close what I'm doing. You do not have to wedge this clay today because we're not really going to keep this pinch pot. This is for practice. So when we do actually make our pinch pot, you will need to wedge it. So first what I'm going to do is take the clay and work it into a ball. I'm going to take any jewelry off so that it doesn't interfere with that. And then what you do is open the clay up, because a pinch pot is a vessel that is empty on the inside, kind of like a cup or a bowl, with side walls and a bottom floor. And then what I'll do is either use my thumb or my forefinger and press my finger into the clay. And you don't want to break through the other side, but you want to make sure that the hole is deep enough. Now what I'm going to do is just begin pinching the clay. And I'm pinching down at the bottom first. And I'm kind of rotating it. And you can hold it like this with your thumb on the inside. You can also pinch it like this with your thumb on the outside. A pinch pot is just simply made from pinching. So whatever way that you pinch is okay. So this clay is really nice and soft, and it's pinching really well. If you start to see cracks right here, make sure that you spray your clay with water and that you smooth it immediately. It's better to take care of the cracks sooner rather than later. So how much do we pinch? Well, we want to make the thickness of our clay about 1/4 of an inch thick. And we want that clay as even as possible so that when it dries, it will dry evenly. And that will prevent areas from becoming weak and breaking. So if I grab a ruler, and I use the inches side, of course, the width of my pinch pot and the thickness is a little bit over than 1/4 of an inch. So 1/4 of an inch is right here. So I need to go a little bit thinner. And I'm also going to pick it up and feel the bottom and all around the walls to make sure that the pinch pot is evenly thick and about 1/4 of an inch. You can go thinner than 1/4 of an inch, although it's a little trickier, and you have to be more gentle to make that happen. So you can see my pinch pot is kind of a little bit asymmetrical. And you'll get to choose the exact form of your pinch pot, like if you want it wide, like a bowl, if you want it more upright, taller, like a cup, if you want it asymmetrical. We'll also be adding texture and attachments. But as of right now, we're just getting down the method of pinching. That's what today is for. So it's important to pinch slowly so that you don't go too thin, because when you go too thin with your pinching, you really can't reverse it. You can always pinch it more, but you can't unpinch what you've already pinched. Okay, so I think this is probably a little bit thinner than 1/4 of an inch now. Yep. And so that would be good. Now what I'm going to do is cut through my pinch pot, and I'm going to determine whether my pinch pot walls are even throughout the entire pinch pot or they are not. So if I turn it sideways like this, you can see the cross section of the pinch pot, and it appears that it is pretty even throughout. It's a little bit thicker right in this corner here, but for the most part, so that's what we want to see. We want to see it even throughout. And if it's not even throughout, make sure that you feel the clay. If it feels thicker in one area and then it gets thinner towards the top, then you'll need to pinch the thicker area out more. Okay, so that's your basic steps for creating a pinch pot.